This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen A Perfect Pairing, the new romantic comedy from director Stuart McDonald. It follows the efforts of a woman named Lola in securing a Fortune 500 company for her new wine distribution startup, after being passed over for promotion by her lazy corporate boss in favor of a coworker who had stolen a lead on that client from her. Despite personally flying out to her Australian ranch, and despite Lola's natural confidence and expertise, the winery owner turns down the offer, leading Lola to go the extra mile by signing on as a ranch hand to help care for a local sheep station. While this decision irks Max, the leading rancher and the personal assistant to the Fortune 500 CEO or whatever, he and Lola end up hitting things off well, growing closer and eventually falling in love, despite the personal secrets that Max is keeping from her and almost everybody else around him. At least I'm pretty sure that's the story. I kind of zoned out after a while. It'll probably happen to you when you realize that this is just another generic rom-com spit out to fill a niche marketplace. Though this one separates itself by somehow being just a bit lazier than others. It still meets the standards of the usual formula and story beats and plot points, of course. All that's really changed are the leading cast members, the location of their romance, which in this case is Australia, and the ongoing gimmicks that singularly define their characters, which in this movie is wine. Everything else of significance that happens either stretches the runtime or is meant to move the romantic tension along, to the point that the ongoing stakes at play almost have to be shoved back into the story by hand, as if the filmmakers remembered halfway through that there was supposed to be a conflict. In any case, the main focus is on Lola and Max's romance, and it's no surprise that it's as bland and contrived as any other story detail. There's quite a lot of time spent on exposition and dialogue, sometimes as conversations made to pad out the film and pretend to develop the romance, and more often than not just wrapping up a subplot with minor characters before it even has a chance to start. Either way, it pretty much leads to anybody with a speaking role being based less on what they do and more on what they say or tell each other. All that does is make their actions not only contrived, but annoying, especially when heavier personal decisions are made after relatively smaller slights or faults. For as much as the characters do open up to each other, they sure have a lot of problems caused by whatever they choose to hide. Of course, everything ends up being wrapped in a nice little bow by the end of the film, but only because it absolutely has to be, and not because of any actual story developments. The technical side of A Perfect Pairing does hold up better, though mostly because it has to make up for the story's failures. It mostly just uses the opportunity to get in some beauty shots of the Australian countryside, making for some pretty backgrounds and landscapes. Of course, it can't hide the emptiness of the dialogue and writing. It also doesn't help that at times the cinematography and lighting make the outdoors look flat, no matter how majestic the natural scenery may actually be. When it comes to the indoors, limited settings, some clearly constructed rooms, and a few other hallmarks of a cheap production are all but flaunted in front of the camera. It should come as no surprise that there are some clear editing and continuity errors as well. It would probably be redundant to say this, but it's almost obvious that the filmmakers seem to have just wanted to take a vacation to Australia and get paid for it. Throw in a cast who either wanted in on the scheme or who wanted to try and revive an acting career. Dig up or spit out a script that was probably written in 2 weeks either way, and you've got your movie. The only other thing I can say is that the wine moms this movie is probably targeting can probably be doing a whole lot more with their time, like drinking. A Perfect Pairing, Stuart McDonald, 2022, 1 star. I wouldn't recommend seeing this movie unless you needed a look at Australia and can't find an actual documentary. That's it for me. If you like this review, leave a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. One of these days, I hope to get one of these rom-coms where they mess up and show the crew chilling out in the background of a scene, confirming the whole vacation angle of these productions. At least then I wouldn't be putting myself in a position to get sued.